I'm just saying trans people are my fucking friends. And transphobes, you can catch these hands, bro. 8:30 p.m. we'll have Maybe a Girl on stream. If you guys don't know, Maybe is a local LA politician, activist, advocate for the unhoused, abolitionist. Maybe a Girl is incredible. Somebody I've canvassed for. I voted for Maybe. Yeah, you were in that district? Fuck yeah. Yeah, I voted for Maybe too. As of today, Maybe is in the crosshairs of a lot of the far right and all the most psychotic people on Twitter. So, for a very interesting reason, and I can't wait to talk with her about it. So, we will be discussing that and so much more. How much for an oiled up twerk stream? I mean, everybody has a price. You know, just give me a bunch of subs and I'll see how I feel after that. I'll tell you how warm I am to an oiled up twerk stream. You know what I mean? Let's start. Give me 5 subs. We'll see. How much to not? Yeah, again. Every 5 subs that are gifted, I will give you an update on how close I am to an oiled up twerk stream. It's true. And, you know, if just make sure you include include your twerk stream preference in your gifties. It's an auction. Yeah, bid against each other. Wait, who said anything about a thong? Okay. I know it's Friday night, guys. I know it's Friday night. We got East Coasters in here celebrating Pride hard. Okay, y'all are celebrating it a little too hard. Okay, I need you to chill out. All right, we're gonna jump into. I don't know. This is another channel that I have never watched before. Kaz Row. Maybe you guys will have heard of it, but this is a video that I wanted to watch tonight to kind of prime us for our conversation with Maybe. And just kind of get into like a little bit of like a, you know, like a little pride mode. We're gonna celebrate a little bit of pride, you know.
In the first 2/3 of the 1800s, it was actually extremely common for men to show open affection for each other, sleep together, generally be romantically and yes, even sexually involved with each other.
This is like a super common like thing if you go abroad. Like I lived in Vietnam for a long time, and men act different around each other. It's totally normal to like put your arm around your buddy and just like bring him in for a hug. Men in America are so fucking stunted. It's a bummer. It's truly a bummer. Men in America are like, just like, they ain't got it, man. I mean, it sucks. Sometimes I want to give my friend a kiss on the lips, you know? What does that make me? Gay?
And if you fuck around with your gender presentation, then by God, you're the third sex now. We don't know what the hell you are, so here you go. Here's your very...
I love those graphics, though.
By God, you're...
This is all sick as hell.
The third sex now.
The wizard guy, the sexy as fuck, like, clip art shit. So good.
Now, we don't know what the hell you are, so here you go. Here's your very own separate gender category that has a bunch of subcategories inside it. I literally never want to hear a cis person say that trans people are making up too many genders or whatever the fuck ever again. You did this. Cis people did this. One such gender category that encompassed effeminate gay men was that of the fairy. You may have—
Dude, my favorite, actually, like, one of the more amusing, ridiculous things on the internet is people being like really upset by just hearing the word cis people. Like, cis is a slur. I think that's like so funny. I don't know why. Yeah, like Elon. Yeah, Elon's part of that. But I was thinking also of like I had one TikTok that really popped off, and it was about gender neutral bathrooms in Kansas City airport. I said, like, this bathroom is not just for, like, you know, non-gender conforming people. It's really great for cis people, too. It's just a very, very well-designed bathroom. And so many people in my comments were like, don't call me sis. Don't call me sis. And I was like, okay, so like, are you trans then? Like what? Like, they're like, I'm neither. Like, oh, okay. You fucking sissy. Yeah. Don't call me sis. I'm not sis. Oh, so you're NB. Oh, okay. The secret third thing. Yes. Okay. I understand now.
New Year's of 1967 to 1968, plainclothes officers stormed into the Black Cat Bar and beat and arrested the patrons. The raid galvanized the community and inspired mass protests of police brutality on February 11th outside the bar, as well as 6 other locations, in partnership with the Black, Mexican, and sex worker communities.
There's a lot more to that story that I think is very, very interesting.
Police departments would deliberately hire attractive men that they knew from intel were usually the type that gay men would like, and would send them into bars, bathhouses, and the streets to lure gay men into a compromising situation. And getting caught was serious, because until 1975, oral and anal sex were literal felonies in California. Oral could get you 15 years of prison, and anal could get you a life sentence.
15 years, and anal sex could get you a life sentence. What the fuck? I knew they were illegal for way too long, but holy shit, dude, those sentences are unbelievable. Anti-sodomy laws were declared unconstitutional in 2003. Yeah. Okay, Fang Olives has the better history.
The hatred and fear of communists and radicals led to the infamous Hollywood blacklist. The environment was one of deep paranoia, and in some cases, the call was coming from inside the house. The post-war years also saw the development of various queer activist groups, reaching a
Hoover was a drag queen too, and it was his shame that led to the mass prosecution and, like, you know, the use of homosexuality as blackmail and so many different things. I say it, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Like, shame has to be one of the most powerful human emotions. And I think, like, in general, a lot of the people who are really hateful towards, like, queer people are hateful as an extension of their shame, and they really resent people who don't have that shame. You know, shame is fear. Yeah, totally. But people who are able to defeat that shame, they resent you for it because they feel it so strongly. Yeah, shame and fear, really bad emotions. Like resenting others for their personal feelings and projecting, or like resenting others for not doing more and upholding an environment that allows for shame. I mean, I think the second part is more like to me, what I'm thinking is that, like, they feel shame for the way that they feel. Because, like, let me be real with you guys, like, nobody is entirely straight. That may be a hot take, but as somebody who has dealt with a lot of shame around my sexuality for most of my life, but, like, I feel like everybody has, sexuality is a spectrum. Even like gender being a spectrum kind of like eliminates that whole, I don't know, whatever. They're gonna feel shame about themselves, and like they are not gonna change that part of themselves. It's just gonna be something that they try to push down and reject and feel shame about and are really scared about. Like, this is a real scary thing. And even if they are straight, whatever, like they explained at the beginning, the way that, like, homosexuality is used and the way that, like, gender is enforced is so rigid for even those who are straight and cis that, you know, like, you can be straight and cis in your life and still be called F slurs. Like, they will still say this stuff about you. It's like they use that to enact shame on any kind of stepping out of the line. It's used to cause shame on all different kinds of queer behaviors, not even just explicit, like, sexuality concerns and shit like that. You know, so everybody, the rigidness of the gender dynamic, the rigidness of a heteronormative world causes most people to feel shame. You know, you understand? And so when they feel that shame and they see other people who don't feel that shame, who instead are actually proud of who they are and like push to exist in those dynamics, then it you know, it makes them feel weird. There's a lib tendency to reference people like Harvey Milk and you know, like you know, Marsha P. Johnson and like people who were leaders in the like LGBT rights movements, right? And to say like, yeah, they got us here and like everything, but like it didn't stop. It didn't stop. We're not there yet. You know what I mean? Just because we have a parade, we're not there yet. We got a lot more work to do before trans folks are like truly safe in our society. You know, and we are planting the seeds now. We have to be fighting that fight now. It is not a passive thing. It's something we have to go out and fight and make sure that people feel safe and make sure that the people who are making them unsafe don't feel safe. You know? And by the way, has anybody been to Black Cat recently? Like, has anybody ever been to the bar now? Because like they do a pretty good job of hiding it all. If I'm gonna be real, like there's like a plaque, maybe there's a plaque somewhere on this, but like it's not that radical of a space anymore. And I kind of wish the city would do more to highlight this aspect of LA's like queer history. Yeah, like this is the plaque. This is the plaque, site of the first documented LGBT civil rights demonstration in the nation, held on February 11th, 1967.
On New Year's.
Doesn't mention police brutality. Doesn't mention why they were demonstrating. It's not enough. You gotta Google to find this kind of info. Essentially, the story is that there are a lot of... The LAPD sent in a ton of undercover officers into this bar, waited until midnight, and then when midnight happened and everybody kissed people that they loved, they started fucking beating the shit out of everybody.
New Year's 1967, they started arresting the men inside for exchanging same-sex kisses. People forget how difficult it was. You know, in terms of not just the fact that same-sex relations were criminalized, but also, especially in Los Angeles, that there was tremendous harassment and oppression on the part of the LAPD. It was notorious for that nationally. I get emotional about this.
It's emotional.
It
is emotional because, and it's something that is erased from LGBT history unless you look for it. You know, the fact that for a very long time, queerness was not only enforced by massive shame and societal, like just societal ostracization. Not only that, but with batons and fucking tear gas. You understand? Like this, that it was always brutality at the hands of the police was part and parcel with all of this shit. And so that's why when you're at Pride and you see your local PDs fucking float in the Pride, you boo that shit. You boo that shit. You yell at that shit. You say you're not welcome here. Go the fuck out. They got the FBI in the parade, brother. What's going on here? What the fuck is going on here? No cops at Pride. Pride was a riot. The first Pride was a riot, okay? Never forget that. Our queer, our trans, like friends that are most at risk of societal violence, those are risks that come a lot at the hands of the police. Those are risks that come a lot at the hands of prisons. It's the same structures. We're making progress. It's true. Things are getting better. We're not there yet. And so it's still on each and every one of us to make sure that the world is safe for trans people, to make sure that the world is safe for gay people, for lesbians, for non-binary people, for bi people, for every single way that we could identify. We have to fight for it. We have to plant the seeds now. I'm just saying, trans people are my fucking friends. and transphobes, you can catch these hands, bro. So Maebe, welcome in. Thank you so much. I don't think we've ever like had like a meaningful one-to-one. But why don't you just give a brief introduction to who you are and what you do in LA?
Yeah, of course. Hey, everybody. My name is Maebe. My pronouns are she, her, they, them. And I serve on the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council. I've been an elected member for a little over 5 years now. And I also previously ran for Congress. I ran in 2020, 2022, and 2024. I did not win, but we put in the effort.
Something that you had been fighting for specifically with regards to the traffic signage in Silver Lake. When did you start this fight? What have been the challenges as you've been going through it, and then where are we at now?
There's a lot of history to why we wanted these signs to come down. If you want to start talking about that now, I can, but I feel like that is a whole conversation in and of itself, because what I have witnessed and gone through this week has been a little bit wild. I've had so many people come after the videos that I've posted, homophobes and transphobes, saying, oh, great. Oh, now no U-turn signs are homophobic. What does the alphabet mafia want now? When basically what we're asking for is to sort of level out the wrongs of the past. Let's sort of balance those out. Let's try to make amends for some of the missteps of the city.
Something that we had been we just watched a video on here is like LA's history with, you know, queer politics in general, and it's a routine a long history of using the police to brutalize and to police people's like personal behavior and personal decisions. You were saying like the right is totally framing this as like, what's next? How could this possibly be homophobic? But in reality, this is how a lot of this has happened, is creating like really very explicit like anti-sodomy laws that existed in LA until like the 70s to you know, no U-turn laws where they're going kind of in a roundabout way, but still like explicitly policing the queer population of LA.
As with any other neighborhood, it's just the nature of urban planning that things never really stay the same. And so it's really easy to point fingers as to why gentrification happens. But I think the important thing is sort of recognizing your role in it and trying not to exacerbate the situation, but try to keep things as they are for the locals as much as possible, for better or for worse. You know, when it comes to policing, you know, the police unfortunately have a bad reputation here in Silver Lake, as they do in the rest of Los Angeles. A lot of people know about what happened at the Black Cat demonstrations, which took place in early 1967. You look at photos from those demonstrations, and what is written on the signs that people are holding while they're protesting are essentially the same kinds of phrases and slogans that we're seeing today. Stop police brutality. Learning about this story about the no cruising signs did not come as a surprise to me. It actually sort of made everything kind of come together as to why we are anti-police here. They just have not treated us in the way that we want to be treating our neighbors.
Yeah, totally. And so, yeah, I would love to talk more about the signs themselves. What was the culture around that area? Can you explain, like, for people who may not know, like, what is like cruising? What was the reason for them putting it in to begin with?
When it comes to cruising, a lot of people have a different idea of what cruising means. I did my research, and in 1988, the LA Times put out an article detailing about how cruising had been outlawed by the city of Los Angeles. And this was something that was a bit of a trend statewide at the time, beginning in the 70s into the 80s. And this was a response, again, to the Latino community engaging in low riding, street riding. And the unfortunate thing was, not only were they using this law to discriminate against the Latino community, but again, they started to use it to discriminate against the LGBTQIA plus community. In the street in particular that I'm talking about, this is Griffith Park Boulevard. It's right above Hyperion. Griffith Park Boulevard, it's a generally quiet, residential, pleasant side street. It does get busy during rush hour, so when people are going to work, when people are coming home from work, The rest of the day, it's just sort of come and go traffic. But the street itself is a pretty wide street. The reason I bring this up is because it deals specifically with the no U-turn signs. The no cruising signs themselves were removed around 2011. In 2011, the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council, which I'm now a member of, I've been on the council since 2019. 2011, they voted to try to get these no cruising signs removed because even at that time, they were recognized as being used to discriminate and to profile queer people in the neighborhood, specifically gay men. It's easy to think about, well, that doesn't make sense today in 2024, but you go back, to 1997, and still queer people were not as widely accepted as they are today. Even though this was a very queer positive neighborhood, a lot of people were coming into the neighborhood because they knew that it was a safe haven of sorts. But even such, folks were sometimes afraid to go into gay bars because they were afraid of being photographed. They were afraid of being outed just by going to a queer establishment. So knowing that there were queer establishments in the area, some of the side streets in Silver Lake were used to cruise. And cruise, again, it has a couple of different meanings depending on the context. So when we talk about low riding, no cruising means not passing by the same spot within a few hours, going back and forth, low riding. But this law was used to discriminate against gay people because they knew that gay people were cruising in the area. Now, cruising for gay people, it's a euphemism for seeking out gay sex. Again, you have to think about it contextually. Human beings, we are sexual beings. We are always seeking out intimacy, human contact, and of course, it's going to happen within the queer community. The fact of the matter is we are just as sexual as every other human being, whether you're gay, straight, anything in between.
Yeah, and if queer people weren't being beaten for going to a public place and seeking that, then maybe it wouldn't have to happen in the back end. The most extreme, but even at the least extreme, like the amount of shame and societal ostracization, of course, would require different ways of seeking a partner before Grindr existed, basically, right?
Exactly. That's the thing, is you couldn't go to a gay space without it being very intentional, without people seeing you go into a gay space. Whereas today, with the invention of the internet and social media, we've got Grindr, we've got Scruff, we've got Sniffies. Not saying that I use those, but But, there are different ways now for queer people to meet each other, whether that is for sex or whether it's just for development of community. But at the time, there were very limited options. And so the fact that the city installed these no cruising signs on Griffith Park Boulevard, which was very near where the gay district was, there were a number of gay bars right in that area. And these were specifically installed to profile against queer people. There were no cruising signs themselves, but then there were also a number of no U-turn signs that were installed. And the no U-turn signs had a separate sign right beneath them that listed the hours, and the hours were between midnight and 6 a.m. If this was actually a traffic safety issue, then it should just be no U-turns all the time. If anything, just during rush hour, when people are going to work, when kids are going to school. So to make it just between midnight and 6 a.m., I think really demonstrates how it was used for ulterior motives. You can go back and you can see there are articles written in the LA Times, there's articles written in the East Sider, a lot of local publications about how this was specifically used to target the queer community, and again, specifically gay men. As early as 2011, this was recognized as a problem, and the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council, again in 2011, they voted to try to get rid of these signs. Signs were installed in 1997. 2011, which is not that long afterwards, the neighborhood council says, let's get rid of these. And this was overwhelmingly supported by the community. I believe that it was voted on unanimously by the council itself, but everybody that attended, the majority of the voices were saying, these laws, they've outserved their purpose. Why don't we get rid of these signs, because they are relics of the past? And fast forward, here we are in 2024, and we still had these no U-turns between midnight and 6 a.m. signs. They're seemingly innocuous. It doesn't seem like, oh, how can that be homophobic? But again, these were used to specifically target and profile queer people. So I thought that it would be a great idea to get rid of these. I'm not the only person. Many other people at the same time were saying, let's get rid of these signs. So I got reached out to by CD4 and CD13, and they said, hey, we're removing these signs. We're going to do it in conjunction with a Pride event. We would love to have you come and participate. I'm thinking this is just going to be a nice community Pride event. And essentially that's what it was. We had a couple of speakers, and then everybody walked over, and together we took the signs down. This wasn't just done on a whim. This was, again, there were so many levels of bureaucracy for us to be able to do. This was a really proud moment. I had somebody take a video of us taking the signs down. I posted it on social media, just being like, oh, this was a great community moment. 5 million people have viewed this video since Monday. I can assure you, 5 million people do not live in Silver Lake. We have about 1,000 people living here. So again, it's a very micro, hyper local issue. We actually had a couple of speakers at that event. We had some Indigenous speakers open the event, and they talked about how even things as basic as street signage can be very, very colonial and patriarchal in nature.
First off, congratulations on the victory, because congratulations on your work and everything you do. But also, I know that there is like a price to pay. Especially being someone who is like a drag queen who goes out and I mean, you are the tip of the lightning rod in some senses of this story, right? While they may be mad at Ugo or Nithya for allowing the sign to come down, that a lot of that vitriol and hate is going to come towards you without really, needing to get into it more than you're willing to. I would love to know, like, what are the ways in which you are able to kind of like stay committed to this work, and how you maintain hope, and how you like continue fighting, and how you manage to deal with this even in really tough moments like your experience.
I mean, yeah, this was kind of a tough week, but also for me, the most surprising thing was that the right wing took such an interest in such a hyper local issue. These were community forums that developed the reason that we have these signs taken down. And then you have all these people saying, oh, the queer community, now they're asking for more and more and more. In reality, it is the conservative alt-right that is flipping out about this. They are losing their minds over signs being removed in my community. It has no bearing on their lives whatsoever. They come after us for whatever reason they can. I was shocked to see that my name was trending on Twitter today. I wish this would have happened when I was running for Congress 3 or 4 months ago.
Right?
I wish I would have been trending then. And then also, no U-turns was also trending, like nationally on Twitter. And that just was such a gag to me, that, people just made such a big deal out of this, when again, this is such a hyper local issue. Honestly, I'll take the attention.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great attitude to have about it. Of course, you're in so many ways, it's you're suffering from your own success. And I don't know. I think it's a very simple, but also like a very admirable request to just say like, hey, this is one of the many ways in which the city continues to use policing to subjugate the queer community, and this is one small way that we can start to reverse that and change it. So
with that, can I add one thing, Brad?
Go ahead,
wanted to say that I was really happy with the city's response to this. I do not agree with everything that our CD13 and CD4 representatives, with everything that they do. But as somebody who is on a very lowest level of local government, you have to be able to work with your representatives, whether or not you agree with them on every single issue. It really made me happy to see that the city is trying to make amends for past faults.
Yeah, that is good to hear. When they do right, I'm happy to
give credit when it's due. You know,
exactly,
and give criticism when it's due.
Yes.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, everybody.
Take care, Maebe. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Yeah.
Wow. What a great conversation. That was awesome. Thank you guys for joining. Yeah, links in the chat. We got them right here. We got Maebe on Twitter right here. Becca posted the Instagram right here. Definitely someone to follow. Someone to follow on Twitter and on Instagram and the TikTok too. They said they were popping off on TikTok.